Hello and welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Paul Chickatano. Joining us from Indiana is Richard Mourdock, who defeated six-term incumbent Senator Dick Lugar in an election that has national implications. Mr. Mourdock, I hope you've managed to get some sleep since your big victory. Welcome to Newsmax TV.
Well, thank you. I'd like to say I got a bunch of sleep, but it was a very short night. I'm working on about 3 hours of sleep and a lot of caffeine right now.
You defeated the longest-serving Republican in the United States Senate. On some level, even you had to wonder whether you really had a chance to do what no one else has been able to do in 36 years. What was the key to this race, and are American voters like some sleeping giant that has suddenly awakened?
Well, actually, I always did feel that I would win this race. When we announced in February of 2011, I had done my homework. I had spoken to 90 of Indiana's 92 county chairmen, and I came away from those meetings convinced that Senator Lugar was likely to lose. But the numbers that we won by with yesterday, winning 22%, was absolutely remarkable. Is this a message to America? Yeah, I think it is. The reason we were successful was we had some 3,000 volunteers around this state that on Election Day probably put in something like 15,000 to 18,000 man-hours in that one day, just to remind people who were going in as Republicans that this time they had a choice. And clearly people made that choice in overwhelming numbers.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. Freedom Works for America last night proclaimed your victory a tidal wave for the Tea Party. Do you think your victory is a warning to other moderate Republicans in Congress?
It certainly is. And I've often people want to describe me as a Tea Party candidate, but I always make the point, we had all that overwhelming Republican infrastructure behind us before the Tea Party began to arrive. And we're glad the Tea Party's there, and I certainly share the values of the Tea Parties as far as more responsible spending and more constitutional adherence. But I think that sleeping giant, as you deemed it before, is real. I know we received a lot of messages in the last 12 hours of people who suddenly feel inspired in their home states, in Texas, in Utah, in Missouri, Nebraska. People are wanting to see some more conservative leadership, and we're thrilled to have the chance to make this Senate run and make the point that their individual voices really do matter.
Well, now that the Indiana state primary is behind you, you're going to be turning your attention to Democrat Congressman Joe Donnelly in the general election. What are the issues that are going to define this race?
Well, clearly the issues that will cause us to defeat Joe Donnelly are the fact that he's consistently voted with Barack Obama. I just anticipate that wonderful moment when in a debate or whatever, I need simply ask, Mr. Donnelly, who you're going to vote for president? Because in Indiana, I'll tell you, Barack Obama is not popular. Yes, he won this state in 2008, the first Democrat since 1964 to win electoral votes in Indiana. But even then, he didn't break 50%. And he is very unpopular in this state, and the fact that Joe Donnelly voted for Obamacare, voted for stimulus, voted for bailouts, all those things are going to work against him.
Well, we mentioned the Tea Party-affiliated Freedom Works for America. You also got help from the Conservative Club for Growth. How much did these groups affect the outcome?
When you win by 22 points, I really wonder. There was such a latent anger, latent frustration in this state that all of the millions of dollars they pumped in advertising and such may not have been as necessary as what some thought. But the point really is, because many have asked me, well, what about the special interest group that seems to be helping you? I'm the first to admit there was a special interest group that got behind us. They're called conservatives. And they are conservatives from all over this country. And they, to your point of a moment ago, wanted to send a message that they want to see conservatism in the United States Senate. It was about more than Indiana yesterday here in Indiana. It was about the tone that's going to be carried forward in the Senate of the United States by Republicans. And I think it was a great thing. I think it truly has fired a shot that it may yet be heard around the world.
Well, Senator Lugar said he had no regrets about running for re-election, and he made it clear that he wants you to win in November so you can contribute to a Republican majority in the Senate. Will you consider asking the senator to campaign for you?
Well, my heart goes out to Senator Lugar right now. I've said it literally hundreds of times. He's a person for whom I have great respect, and He has never been, nor will he ever be, my enemy. He was merely my opponent for a few months. And I guarantee you, I've lost elections. I know how it hurts. And I can guarantee you today he's not comfortable, and I truly regret that. But what Senator Lugar does in the future in helping our campaign, that will be his decision. I would love to have him help us if he's comfortable doing that. If not, I understand that too. We are healing this party. Just today, we've already had a press conference with Governor Daniels and all the other statewide elected officials here in Indiana, and they were showing their support behind us. So we're well on the way to healing. Iron sharpens iron. It's a wonderful proverb. And this primary process has made me better as a candidate. I know it's made our party better for the competition.
Well, President Obama praised Senator Lugar for his willingness to reach across the aisle on Tuesday night, while the senator issued a warning that Republicans risk becoming a minority party if they don't allow nuance. What is your attitude toward bipartisanship? When will it work and when will it not?
Well, I see that somewhat differently. You know, we are in a historical moment when the most powerful people in the two political parties are at the extreme ends of their party. We have deadlock right now. We have gridlock right now. Why is it? It's because the parties can't work together. And seemingly, when they do come together to find some compromise, it's the Democrats saying, let's spend $500 billion we don't have, and the Republicans say, no, that's ridiculous. Let's spend $300 billion we don't have. So they end up compromising and spend $400 billion we don't have. You know, I'm much less concerned about bipartisanship than I am simply standing for principle. We have to live within our means. We can't compromise on that principle. We have to have the principle of more limited government. I'm not willing to compromise on that. If there's a bill somewhere that talks about how we're going to manage a budget or manage a program and it's something we can otherwise afford, yeah, I'm willing to compromise on those kind of numbers. But I'm also willing to confront those in a bipartisan way, either Republicans or Democrats, if they're big spenders. I will confront Republicans or Democrats if they want to protect the permanent bureaucracy that is Washington. I mean, I believe very strongly in the reasons that caused me to run for office, and that is to make government smaller, allow people to keep more of their taxes, and to allow every individual to have greater freedom. And unfortunately, in each area right now, government's heading the wrong way.
Well, you mentioned President Obama narrowly won Indiana in the 2008 election. How likely is the Hoosier state to support Mitt Romney this time around?
Oh, I think overwhelmingly they will support Governor Romney. Mr. Obama, as I say, has burned his bridges in the state. He spent, in 2008, more money to win those 11 electoral votes than Governor Daniels spent that year to be reelected as governor of Indiana. It was unprecedented. I think Mr. Obama came here something like 47 times. This cycle, Mr. Obama is going to spend a lot more time in the so-called key swing states, and I don't think he'll be worrying about coming here because we've got a very popular Congressman, Mike Pence, running for governor. We're going to have a very strong presidential candidate, and I think Mr. Obama is going to spend a lot more time in swing states than here.
Well, assuming you're victorious in November, what are going to be your top priorities taking over for a man who has led your state since America's bicentennial?
Well, I will not know until I get there, of course, what committees I would be assigned on to have the most direct impact. But let me give you my elevator speech, if I may, because for the last 15 months, I've been telling people what I would love to do in the U.S. Senate. Number one, be part of reducing the immoral level of national debt that we are now carrying. It is killing our economy. It is downright dangerous. Number two, we've got to get the jackboot of federal government regulations off the necks of America's small businesses. That's where our economy can begin to recover if we get small businesses growing. And it's not happening now because they are over-regulated and there's constant change. They want some stability so they know their future investments are worth it. Last but not least, we have to change the tax code from simply taxing the creation of wealth to taxing consumption. And why is that important? Because last year, 47% of all American households paid no income tax. 47% had no skin in the game, and that means they don't care how big government gets. And we've got to have everybody concerned about the size of government if we hope to roll it back.
Our guest today, Indiana GOP senatorial candidate Richard Mourdock. Mr. Mourdock, congratulations again on your big win, and thank you for joining us on Newsmax TV.
Well, thank you. And if conservatives around the country want to help us, have them go to richardmourdock.com, because we've got a long 6-month fight ahead and we need their help.
All right. Thank you, sir.